responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists. Nothing we can do about it. Buy a steak and chill, baby. Shout out to Marketable Thoughts. You can't get this kind of shit for free anywhere else. And it's very important to understand that. And we're handing it out. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. So much luck, once again, because the facts don't give a fuck. Peace.
And, I guess it's kind of going how you could have expected it to go. Am I muted? No, I shouldn't be muted. All right, you guys can hear me. Yeah, let's start with a sound check before I start rambling on for 20 minutes. Everybody let me know they can hear me. And then I'll continue rambling. Hope everybody's having a nice long weekend. If you're in the States and whatnot, nice Monday otherwise. Thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So I was saying, it's been interesting to watch everything unfold. I mean, for people like us, right? Because we kind of have an idea of what to expect. And fact remains, while this guy is, and by this guy I mean Trump, just to get the politics out the way, because that's what everything centers around. People, and I say this all the time, and I'm going to always say it because it's comedy. How can we sit here and pretend to not want to talk about politics when everything is dominated by it? I mean, this is how they lull people to sleep. Politics and religion are the primary topics that we talking about, and your salary is definitely number 3. So, that's them telling you don't talk about the most important things that define your existence in this world. And people buy into it. People buy into it. I mean, these are the kinds of things you guys got to think about, because the world is full of people that think like that. That think that the system is going to respond. I mean, you see it on Twitter all day, just in fake crypto alone. I mean, as I sit here, I'm looking at these buffoons replying to Doge SEC. Like, how childish are you people? I mean, I don't know how much more evidence you need than what they're doing to understand that all you're doing is putting yourself out there. Nothing's going to come of anything. And even if it does seem like a minor victory at the moment, you got to learn to think long term. These are people that plan out centuries in advance what they're going to do. And if not centuries, decades for sure. And there's plenty of evidence of that being the fact. And yeah, this is exactly what it is. I mean, when you think about it, if you grew up in the United States, I'm pretty sure it's the same in every Western country, but I can only speak to the United States. If you went to school here, you know that a school looks no different than a prison. Literally looks the fucking same. Unless you went to one of them fancy private schools or something. Or your high school happens to be in one of them old world buildings that is obviously not a high school. I went to one of those. And I also went to one of those that's a prison, masquerading as a high school. So, in New York is interesting because there's so many buildings that don't fit and a lot of buildings outside of it that do fit, you know, like the prison buildings. Because if you look around, you'll notice, and I mean around the United States, you'll notice that there are a lot of castle-looking buildings that are prisons. How the fuck does that happen? How does a castle-looking building become a prison? And then the story is that the prisoners built it. Yet actual professional construction companies cannot build shit like that. Oh man. Too funny. Too funny. So that's just one of the many facets of the fuckery, right? People think they're gonna jump on social media and tell people in charge of what they want done, because they made it that easy for you, huh? They just care that much. Sure. I mean, look, what's clear to me at this point in time, and I don't know if it's just because of what's happened or because of my age, I can't tell at this point. Um, Living in a prison is something. Is something. Knowing you're living in a prison is something else. Thinking you're free and you're not in a prison when everything is a clear trap. I mean, that's what being an NPC is. You just go from trap to trap to trap to trap to trap. And if you're white, you got one type of trap, and if you're, well, actually, it depends where you grew up. Depending on where you grow up, those are the type of traps that are laid out for you. And every environment has its own set of traps. The only trap that isn't a trap is growing up on a fucking farm because your ass is never going to starve. And guess where the majority of us are not born? Things to think about. The majority of us are not born in a self sustaining environment. We're born in environments where you must be a dependent being from birth to death. I mean, think about that. That's what living in a city is. And you think about all these goddamn rooftops in these buildings in every fucking city in the world, and you're gonna sit here and tell me not one of them is viable to be used as a motherfucking garden? What happened to that? Remember how 10, 15 years ago that shit was all the rave? Urban gardening. Well, this is an interesting comment because your son's actually right, and I say this shit all the time. Money is signature of an ignorant society that's too stupid to understand how to actually operate, whereby all can win. And that's only the case because that's the way the top wants it, because shit rolls downhill. So while innocent, he's actually correct. The logic is there. All the things in this motherfucking world exist. Somebody likes doing the thing that's required to make that other motherfucking thing exist. Period. That's a fact. not fiction. Somebody likes doing quirky shit. Some motherfuckers don't like doing quirky shit. And that's a fact of life. So, I understand the notion of money, but society, or shall I say, human nature in this society, money becomes a mind fuck. Because if you don't know how to consider money, you know, people do the stupidest things for money, man. Never mind fake crypto. That shit is nothing. I mean, really dumb shit, like out in the streets. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch some movies, man. They make plenty of movies about it. So you guys got to realize that everything out there is a trap, including money. Look, gambling is one of the big, it's just as big of a problem as drug addiction, gambling addiction, but you won't hear that. But they got a hotline for that shit too. There's a reason gambling is illegal. However, however, if you look at societies in the East, specifically Asian, you end up seeing a different world where gambling or risk taking, as they really view it, not necessarily gambling, is accepted and applauded and taught. It's completely the opposite of Western society, where risk is now frowned upon because they don't want you hurting yourself. They already took care of it all. They want to make sure you pay your tithes, and that's it, no further. I mean, I didn't even mean when as I sit here, it's just crazy to look at how people just don't give a fuck about their welfare at all. Like we've been through 5 years post Rona. I mean, you guys got to realize there is no salvation for anybody, including those that understand what's going on. Because at the end of it all, everything is set up to set you up. It's not to help you. How the fuck does the world continuously devolve? And yet people perpetually believe that they can get help from a system that's there to fuck them and does fuck them consistently. Mind you, let's not forget that part. Because, while all this funny shit is going on and people think Trump's gonna save the world and all this shit, what's actually happening? What is actually happening right now? Take a look. What is actually happening? And answer that question to yourself. It's crazy. People enjoy being told what to do. People enjoy pain, and not even the right kind. People don't realize, even though they do, people choose to ignore that the scam is a scam. It took me a lot. It took a lot for me personally in terms of ugh, it took so much for me to pull myself away from the quote unquote illegal side of things. I was young. I didn't really understand yet, even though I did. But it's the way in which I understood it. I didn't, because there was so much more to learn for me still at that point in time. Because you just can't consider all of the lies. Like, I mean, we're talking 15 years ago, 10 years ago. It's very easy to fall into these traps that are laid out here for you. And if you're in a city, there's no distinction, where you grew up or where, none of that, because now you're in this city where every fucking thing is a trap. And even if it goes good for a while, even if it's a long while, it always ends the same. And I don't mean death at the end of it all. I mean untimely death or something up there, like jail and shit like that. Because if you don't play the rat race, that's the alternative. It's to be an outlaw, quote unquote. And that's easy. Fact remains, and fact is, in our society, everyone is an outlaw because they don't fucking actually know shit about the laws. And if they fucking did, them laws wouldn't even exist because they wouldn't let these buffoons do half the things that they do. But nobody wants to be bothered. Everybody wants to leave it to somebody else. And this is why crypto's never going anywhere. Specifically, it is going to be great for those that come in and can extract value. That is as far as that's going to go. That's just what it is, unfortunately. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to put in any work for anything. I mean, even in crypto, people don't want to do it. People think somebody's just supposed to do this shit for them. Like I really don't know, but that's what it is. Like, I don't know how people make sense of that, but that's what people's heads are at. They don't want to be bothered. They want somebody else doing all the work. And that shit is fucking crazy to me. Right? And I didn't understand for a long time how we have the world we have today. But as a grown man, I do now. As a person that understands and open his mind to what he didn't like, because I was too much of a narrow-minded fuckface to open my mind to what I needed to understand the big picture. Because why the hell do we choose pain over pleasure? Yet feigning to only want pleasure. But yet that's never ever what we choose. This is the human condition. Think about that, folks. I haven't even gotten into the content of the fucking stream. This is ridiculous. I didn't anticipate having to talk about all of this. But you know what? I got something else I want to show you because it's just proof positive to what I'm saying. And it's like, as I sit here and look at it now, there's always a path to the same destination, right? There's a million paths to the same destination. It's like whether you buy shit coins or you just buy hex or you buy all the coins, war core coins or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody's trying to get to that same destination. And we're all trying to get there before we have to clock out. Because who the fuck's trying to wait, right? Um, but it's like, how How do you get there in a way that makes sense, but not just to you, but makes sense and yield success? That doesn't really happen unless you really study what the hell you're trying to do, right? Think about it. How do you know what the right moves to make are unless you've made any? You don't know what the right moves are unless you've made any. I used to own fucking Nvidia and AMD when them stocks were worth nothing. And now they're $100 a share with who knows how many splits and all this shit. I didn't know anything about what the fuck I was doing when I did that. That's why it's just a story I can tell. Just like just like all the people that had Bitcoin and sold it, right? Just like all the people that had ETH and sold it, right? Because they never just held it. Just like all the people that, I mean, it's a story as old as time. When will you stop the cycle? That's the question you have to ask yourself because, you know, you can feign being okay with waking up every day and having a meaningless life, etc., etc. Meaningless in the sense that you're not happy. And you are miserable, but yet you won't think of what to do to change that. Because here's the thing. If you're waiting on everybody else to change, let me tell you, it's gonna take you a long fucking time and you're gonna die waiting. Because nobody else gives a fuck. Nobody else is actually in tune with what the hell is going on. In fact, everybody else thinks they know what the fuck is going on. And that's exactly how they got them tricked. That's why they give them all these little titles and accolades and all. Yo, it took me 8 years to just get a degree. And you guys hear how quote unquote smart I am. So imagine those PhD level people, how dumb they are. Think about it. And I envy these people because for a long time, I wanted nothing more than to just be a person that can sit there and study whatever the fuck I wanted to study. But what I didn't know is that life that I was coveting in many ways was not the life that I thought. I've lived the life that I wanted to live. Unrealizing that that's what was going on because of everything that was happening around me to give me the ability to become the knowledgeable individual that I am today. Because I know I'm a learned individual, a learned individual. I understand that. So much so that I don't know what to say most of the time anymore. It's kind of crazy because it's like I don't like repeating myself first of all. And this goes back to day one, me being who the fuck I am. I don't like to repeat myself. So I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be making the same YouTube videos every day to appease a crowd. This is not what's gonna happen. Never. Not me. Even when I was artistic, I never did the same thing twice. It's not how I roll. It's not how New Yorkers were bred to be when I was being bred by New York at the time. So it's not in my DNA to even be like that way. I can't do it. As you guys can look at the book, look at the catalog, every stream is different. Literally. I can't repeat. So think about it. Imagine if I was an artist of some sort, like a fucking musical person or some shit. Nobody could fucking beat me when it comes to work. But it's never going to be viewed that way because who gives a fuck about finance, economics, and shit? Nobody gives a fuck about that. That is taken care of for them by the powers that be. Think about it. what were the first things that were instituted in the land of man that you don't respect to be yours, but whatever. It was banking, right? The so called banking system, the legal system, government, right? Government and banking. Those were the first things that are really instituted in all societies. Look at your little history. Things you got to pay attention to. Now, let's look at something that I think is very important to understand if you're going to pretend to be an adult in this world and not a bitch. So, let's see. Excuse me. Now, you guys got to understand that I specifically mean a bitch in the sense that you're choosing willful ignorance over, god damn it, man, over reality, right? And reality being you're in a trap. You need to understand you're in a trap. Because if you keep acquiescing to the behaviors that keep you in that lull, then that trap is going to continue to fuck the shit out of you. And there's not going to be anything you can do. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are, where the fuck you're from, who you think you are, where you think you're at, how many billions you got, how many fucking homeless bags you got. You still ain't shit at the end of the day, and you're just sucked into the trap. That's what's going on out here. So how do you unavail yourself for the trap? Well, you got to understand some shit just don't fucking add up. And if you just want to be a bitch and succumb to the shit that don't add up, well, you're just a bitch. I mean, I don't understand why you would expect any better accolade. I don't understand. Things to think about. All right, so this Twitter page is tracking APAC donations and who's receiving these donations. This is, in layman terms, the Israel lobby, or there be the people that control America. Now, I'm just going to read whatever it says here. Tracking APAC, the Israel lobby, and their anti democratic influence on the United States. Now, uh, you need to be clear of the fact that the U.S. is not a democracy. The U.S. is an experiment. As we know, it is an experiment, a failed experiment, because in order for man to succeed, it can't turn his back on his fellow man. And the society that we live is designed strictly around that. In one way or the other, everybody's given this false storyline that they conform to, one way or the other. We all do it. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, you're conforming, period. You might not think you are, but when you don't know the big picture and you don't know the game, the fuck do you know? You don't actually know dick. That's why I can smoke more weed than most motherfuckers on this planet and accomplish more. Things to think about. All right. Now we're just going to scroll through this page. We're going to do this aimlessly. And if you don't see what the hell is going on, then you're just part of the problem. Now, United House chart. APAC now holds 328 seats in the United States House of Representatives. And the thing I love most about this tweet is the fact I mean, you guys realize that this is saying that only 19 GOP people and 86 Dems are not funded by APAC, whereby the other people that are either Dem or GOP are. That's all that this is saying. And here you go. 129 Dems funded by APAC, 199 Republicans funded by APAC. So on both sides of the aisle, people are outnumbered. And this is just 13 days ago. This has been happening for eons, right? And this is just one level of the scam. This is not everything. This is just one little bit. This ain't shit. But this is just the bullshit that people choose to ignore and is in their face. I mean, look at this homo. I mean, these people really go on TV talking against the same motherfucker that they supposedly represent, i.e., the American people, and feign ignorance when called out on the basic facts. Like, people can't see their fucking donations. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Like, how do you expect people to be this fucking dumb? And this is the problem with politics. We're talking about people that fucking destroy everything and are never held accountable. How the fuck does that work exactly? New York destroyed, California destroyed, America destroyed. Who gives a fuck about the item list? And everybody's just fucking cool with it, thinking it's all gonna work out. That's why fucking eggs cost $1 per. Plus, you dumb motherfucker, it's not gonna work out. It's really not. Because as long as we're willing to sit here and just fucking let it happen, i.e., everything, it's gonna. And guess what? We're outnumbered. There's a whole lot more dumb motherfuckers just doing nothing and wanting to do nothing and wanting other motherfuckers to do something, i.e., the same people manipulating them to die or maim themselves slowly or whatever the case is. Here's another one. Minnesota. Angie Craig. What was this guy? New York, I'm sure. Yep. Minnesota. I mean, this bitch don't even look like she's from fucking Minnesota. Fuck out of here. 500,000. Oh, did you guys hear about this cocksucker? So check this out. This is the headline. Man opened fires on vehicle in Miami Beach after saying he saw 2 Palestinians. No mention of the fact that it was a fucking Jew, though. And of course it's a fucking Jew. Look at that fucking beak. Fuck out of here. 17 shots. 17 shots at 2 people in the beach. Now, if you don't know about Miami Beach, back in the day, it wasn't Jew Mania. Now it's Jew Central. Like, they own everything. They went down there after I left and just bought everything, I guess. Because it wasn't like that when I was living down there. So it's worse now than I've ever, like, there ain't no fucking food down there at all. I mean, that place is a fucking food desert. It's crazy. Let's see. I mean, we've already seen $2 million. Yeah, this motherfucker right here is definitely another one. All time top. This motherfucker, he at the top of the list. I wonder what that number is. Shit, crazy. His all-time top donor is APEC. Oh yeah, for sure. Every time you see this motherfucker talking and you hear this motherfucker talking, this motherfucker from the Bronx. So he don't got 2 nickels a rub. Whatever he got definitely comes from these motherfuckers. Ain't no doubt about it. And everybody in the hood knows it. Not the hood, but the city. People know it. And I really don't know if you guys realize how little money these people sell out for. It's not even a lot of money. I mean, as you guys saw, the biggest figure we've seen so far is only $1.6 million. And this is total fun. So it's not even in 1 year. For all we know, this could be all time. Right? But this is the reality of what's the day to day in this country. Right here. South Carolina, Joe Wilson, $325,000 received from Maybach. And this is oh, they got a day here too. Clearly, I haven't studied this. I just know the website and I see the numbers, but I already know what they're talking about. But this is as of 5 months ago. And I mean, of course, Iranian puppet and former Iraqi PM, blah 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 blah. Of course, you talking shit. You ain't got nothing else to do. Let's see. See what this loser is talking about. I'm giving serious consideration to the open Senate seat in Minnesota. Making another move. Right? And these people just fucking stay there. They just stay there. And the question is, how are these people allowed to just stay there while they do nothing to help you at all? 153, 4,000, South Carolina, Republican, Nancy Mace. This is as of a month ago. So, I mean, we can keep just doing a whole stream on this alone. I mean, it's crazy. These people act like people don't know. Yo, everybody knows Israel is fake. All they gotta do is Google it. It's not even hidden. Crazy, man. All right, so let's see. U.S. House candidate for Florida. I guess 6th district. I don't know how to read none of that. 65K though. As of last week, yesterday. The Trumper, 230. So you already know what that means. You already know what that means. He got all the donations. He got all the donations. Let's see. What other goodies we got here? All right. Come on, bro. Yeah, they were supposed to get out of Gaza, but doesn't seem like they're ever going to do that. And, they just dance around the topic every day, and every single day time passes. And yeah, I guess the other people, because they don't got placards up on these motherfuckers. They got a bunch of BS tweets after that. So I guess everybody else, or they just tweet a lot, because I'm only seeing February 15th. All right, 39,000. Randy Feenstra, whoever that is, Iowa, Republican. And this is as of a couple months ago. And the United States stands with Israel against vicious Hamas terrorists. These is a group of people that don't exist. There's no such thing as Hamas. If you haven't figured that out yet, I don't know what to tell you. But says like ISIS, like Al Qaeda, all that shit is fake. You're gonna sit here telling me the same group of motherfuckers that can find Saddam Hussein in a sewer in fucking Iraq where there's no fucking tech in 2003. We talking 22 years ago. They can't defeat little old terrorist Hamas. Big bad old the big bad wolf can't blow the pig's house down. That's what the fuck you trying to tell me? Ah. And this is why I don't congregate with other fucking humans. Don't need to. I mean, this motherfucker is clearly owned by Israel, right? Clearly. Anything out of California is owned by Israel. Most things of color are owned by Israel. Best believe, if not all. Because it takes money to get into politics. You ain't good enough, bro. No person of color is good enough. You're just a tool in a pond, period. 44,000. And you see, whatever amount he got, let's see. Wow. Big spender. 766 racks. Wow. Amazing. Incredible. So there you go. This is just a small sliver, guys. You know, you look anywhere within the US government, US corporation, US enterprise, you're going to see a Jew in the way telling you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say. That's a fact, not an opinion. 2.4 million. Missouri, of all places. The dirty, dirty. Dirtier than we thought. He running around in the sewers and shit with the fucking Ninja Turtles. Fucking cocksuckers, bro. Woo. I mean, if you guys don't know who your enemy is by now, then you're gonna die an interesting death. I mean, look at how many people are still walking around after the death jab. They even lied about that. Everything is a lie, guys. Everything is a lie. The best move is no move, especially if they want you to move. You understand? Iraq war went on for 2 decades, bro. Iraq went on for 2 decades, and Afghanistan went on for longer than Iraq. Those are facts. That's what's actually going on out here. I mean, you need to realize that politics is the problem. Politicians is the problem. Money is the problem. Those things that you cannot control are the actual problem. And look at how they're used against you. Religion as well. I forgot to mention that. Politics, money, religion. Those three things they don't want you talking about. And look at how they use it against you. No problem. And they use immorality against you as well. Movies, damn near pornographic nowadays. So much so that now they got you watching all the dudes kissing dudes and all the chicks kissing chicks. You ain't even seeing no regular shit no more. And what the fuck you gonna do now? That's how they get you. Slowly but surely, because you're in control of nothing. And this is the reality. This is not an opinion. Ronnie Jackson, U.S. Representative, Republican Texan, 120,000. You know, where does it end? It doesn't. Because we just sit back and let the shit happen. sitting here faking all this Holocaust shit, acting like all that shit is something to lean on. This is what they're fucking doing to your face. And all they're going to do is cry anti Semitism. That's their solution to any type of analytical rigor upon their activities, which aren't even fucking hidden. So, once again, everything that happens everywhere in the world is everybody's fault because they do it in their face and they don't even fucking fight back. Doesn't matter if we talking about fucking Canada, France, Germany. You fucking name the place, it's going down. Thailand, you name it. Hell, Thailand is known for fucking dude chicks. It's known for that. So Thailand lost 50 years ago. That's what Vietnam and all that shit was about. So they lost a long time ago. 222,000. Where's this motherfucker at? Florida. These are people, by the way, that were just plucked out of their home within the past 2 years. And this is where they're now living. Question is, and the question I've been asking is who's next? Seems like Lebanon's next. But main thing I want everyone in America to understand is that eventually they're gonna run out of Middle Eastern countries to take over. And then they're gonna focus solely on us. And I made a very prescient tweet this morning talking about anybody born before the year 1933 doesn't have a fucking clue about anything. Now, what I mean by that is that by the time they were teenagers, smartphone was already out. Wi-Fi was already everywhere because this is already 2025. So we're talking about really motherfuckers born 1993 and shit like that. They're the ones that are, let's see, let's do some math here. Since people couldn't do it themselves, let's do it for them. 1992. So anybody born after 1992, really after 1994 or 5, really, they don't know shit about shit. Their opinion is irrelevant, worthless, fucking trash. Give a fuck how young they are, what they're seeing. None of that shit is relevant because they don't know anything about the world when there was privacy. All these motherfuckers knows posting about fucking ops and stupid shit like that. So nobody gives a fuck about what you think. You don't know shit. Because odds are you don't have a modicum of sensibility in your fucking mind to grasp what the fuck is being said. Unless you just happen to read a shit ton of books and can see the obviousness in the fucking frailty of society today. Because, I mean, if you live in a goddamn city, I mean, really, if you live anywhere in the U.S., you can see the difference. And what is real and what is fake. You can see it. It was obvious to me as a fucking 4-year-old walking around this damn city. All right, let's see if there's anything left here and we'll keep moving. But I want people to understand, eventually this is what's next for everybody. Your mom, you, your kids, your nephews, your nieces, everybody you know. This is what's next because we're just letting it happen everywhere else. Period. That's how it goes. You get what you give. If you're not pissed the fuck off by this shit here, you're going to end up there. Guaranteed of your money back. Look at this motherfucker here. Another fucking chink Maybe Korean. I don't fucking know. Kim always throws me off. California, of course, 483,000. Right. So let's say people born after 97. Those are probably gonna be that group of people right there that when they got to a certain age, I mean, yeah, actually, 97 is a number because by the time they were 10, the iPhone was out. By the time they were 15, Wi-Fi was everywhere. Yep, 1997 is a number. So yeah, and hey, don't get me wrong, plenty Dominicans in this bitch too, getting this fucking Jew money in the political game. There's a Dominican out here. I don't know his fucking name, but I'm sure he's in here somewhere in one of these damn cars because all these motherfuckers is getting paid. And that's all it takes. A couple of cents to sell out the nation. A couple cents. Now they're not even taking big money. They taking chump change. I mean, you ain't worth shit. And you letting these fucking buffoons make a mockery of your existence with this fuck shit. This motherfucker also sold out. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Discovered that recently. Bill Burr is now a bitch too. Because everybody wants, I guess, some Jew shekels. I don't know. I remember one time, man, I was in college and I was trying to do this real estate shit. And there was this fucking guy. I could have got in good with this motherfucker, and he was a Jew. But I couldn't fucking stand him. Because he always started shit for no fucking reason. And we're in college. You know, he was a young motherfucker. We're in college. And he found out what I was doing. All of a sudden, he wanted to be fucking nice. No, you don't get to be fucking nice. You're a piece of shit when you're a piece of shit, and that never changes. It don't change. And you know, the average person would have jumped at the opportunity. But that's because motherfuckers is morally corrupt. Y'all, I don't give a fuck about your motherfucking shekels, homie. I don't need them. I'd rather fucking eat concrete and have dignity. Fuck out of here. It's exactly the problem with the world right there. You waiting for some motherfucker to save you because you're not willing to put in no fucking work. That's why I still have my fucking mind after living through all the crap I didn't have to live through. A lot of people choose to exit the game and get beat the fuck down by it. 2020 brought together so many people because of that. Because they were beat down. Not because they wanted to team up with people. And all that fucking gay shit. That's not why. No. Like it sounds cute in theory and all that homo shit, but that's not why. No. Don't think so. Uh let's see here. Alrighty. Hold on, sharing my other screen. Oh, it's fine. I'm not playing any videos. Alrighty. So, we've been in bull mode for a while. And by a while, I mean, you know, last week. I think it was. Yep. After that big break, after the initiation of all the tariff nonsense and people getting scared and all of that. Excuse me, folks, but I did a lot of yapping before I even got to markets. But all that stuff is tied into all of this stuff. You know, for a long time, yeah, and I'm never gonna fucking forget this shit. You guys got to hear me out. For a long fucking time, I started trading these markets in 2008. Really, is when I really started like paying attention. 2006, seven. I was like, I was learning this and shit. Learning. Really didn't know shit. Really didn't know anything at all for fucking at least 10 years. To where I felt I could make statements and I mean, really a little sooner than that. But point is, when I knew I could stand, it was definitely at least 8 to 10 years because all this time, what am I doing? The same thing everybody does that thinks that they're smart. Looking at the problems that exist, analyzing the problems, and expecting the market to bear them out. And it never happened. Hell, I'm still waiting. Just like a lot of guys are still waiting. A lot of guys, and a lot of guys got out of the market because they couldn't trade the market like that anymore. And in 2000, and actually in this time period, from 2012 to 2016, so many top shops shut down because I'm sorry, I got distracted with a text. During that time period, 2012 to 2016, the Fed really started in 2010, but I'm gonna give that 2 year gap up because it really became like a thing in 2012. 14 was like the peak of this shit. But shops started shutting down because you could no longer have a fucking thought and see it become a thing in the market. Like it just didn't work. It stopped working. Like you could not pick stocks, you could not do this, you could not do that, you could not do all this other shit that people used to do. It was gone. Now, why is the question? Or yes, why is the question? And for a long fucking time, man, I was one of those people that I couldn't make a fucking lick. Even though I did make some, I couldn't do it consistently, and I could never understand what I was missing. What was I missing? What was I missing? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And then I think it was 2016, 2017. I discovered this guy called Chris Cole. He runs Artemis Capital. And this guy's like a volatility savant, right? He's like fucking talking in fucking languages I don't understand and shit at the time yet. Oh yeah, it was definitely 2015. I was like fucking with Ripple and ETH and all that shit at the time. So yeah, it was definitely around that time. Um and it was a really sophisticated introduction into the basis that drives all markets. And if you're not putting yourself in a position to think quantitatively, you're gonna fucking miss it big time. Um, because that fucking thing called volatility, that is exactly the reason why all these money managers had to retire from 2010 to 2016. They couldn't make money anymore because they were not understanding that these guys were suppressing volatility. I mean, let me extend. All right, you know what? Never mind. I don't even have to. Look at how often volatility is below this white line, this 13.3 line from 2012 through 2019, really 2020. That's a 7-year period. where volatility was ridiculously low for a long fucking time. And, of course, there's going to be spikes up and you can see them, right? But rarely ever in history, and we're going to back out, has volatility ever been this low for this long. That became a persistent issue in the markets. And as you guys can see, going back, it's never happened before for it to happen at that long period of time. And this is what precipitated the bull market into 99. I mean, if you look at the top of the tech bubble, it was a high volatility environment. And it shouldn't have been that way. And that's how you knew. If you study markets and you look back at money management, money flows, and how people manage money and move money and stuff like that, you would realize that this is not possible in that type of market. For the VIX to be essentially above 20 for a great proportion of the time into the top and after. I mean, that's how you knew some shit was going to blow up. That's how you knew. But if you were not in tune with the math behind all this stuff, there's no way you could have seen it. But looking back now, it's super obvious, Now it's obvious. Enter 2007. Markets didn't really start tapping out until the fall of 2008. So during that time, the markets went sideways. Let's go back. Let's go to the ES, in fact. 2007, was it April? Yep. I remember like it was yesterday. I was in a very manic depressing state. I wasn't even out of the military for 6 months yet. I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do in my life, and I was expected to know. I mean, in the military, there's no kind of instruction on that type of shit. So, needless to say, it was not fun after that. Anyway, April 2007, December 2007. Let's go back to the VIX chart. Let's see. All right. April. VIX is 13. High low is 1460, 1150. 1150, 1460. That's April. Let's go to December. By December, we got a high low 25, 18.5 on the VIX. And then what do we get after that? Let's go back to the charts, folks. Oh, well, look at what we have here. The first crack in the concrete. How about them apples? So you see, it's not necessarily the levels of the VIX, but the change of the VIX because of what it represents. Now, I've been telling you guys for a while, we're in a high volatility environment. And, apparently not right now, right? Because the market's floating up. But the reality is we are in a high volatility environment. Anything above 13.3 is high volatility. Actually, let me see if there is. There probably isn't. But it would be interesting if there was. There was a way to take without, doing a moving average. But I guess I could do that. I'm going to figure out how many, what's the average? How many bars we have here? 433 bars. So I need a 432 average. But it might not give me one. Let me see. I just need a simple ass moving average. But I might not have it here. So I just want to get a just a price. A simple average. Let's see. Let's see. Does it, yep, it's giving it to me. Okay. 132. 1946. Okay. So the all-time average for all these bars on a 21-day basis is 1946, and this is going back to 1990, which is essentially the inception of this thing. So from 1990 to today, the average of all 21-day periods of the VIX is 19.5%. So that means that markets that represent volatility below this are low volatility markets, and markets that represent volatility above this are high volatility markets. Now, this is for the S&P 500. Every market has its own VIX, but this one is just as good as any other equity one. And that's the only reason people just lean on it so often, so much. Because at the end of the day, they all represent the same thing. So, all that's to say, if the all time average is 19 and a half, right? And for the past 20 years almost, for the past 18 years, we've been seeing a persistent level that's below that, right? We know for a fact that over the past 15 years, they've done their best to ensure that the average is not that. And what we're going to do right now is take this average and cut it in maybe a third. 1933. Okay. So let's go back some more. That's probably too much, but it's still 1913. And this is the thing. We're going back all the way to 2000. Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't explained the math behind uh, what I'm thinking here, and this is actually not right. 256. So, all right, let me first off explain the logic here. So, the shorter the average, the more bars are in the calculation, meaning that it's encapsulating more data at this point, which is the beginning, right? This is the beginning point. And every point thereafter is just taking a new average calculation and projecting it forward. So if I'm only taking into account 256 bars at this point in time, and I'm still getting an average of 19.33, what happens when I wind it all the way down to 64? What's the average? Look, it drops significantly from 19 half to 18 and three quarters, from taking into account all the bars to only taking into account the most recent 64 21-day periods. Does that make sense? Because that's kind of the whole point. The whole point is that an artificial, non volatile environment has been created over the past 20 years that allowed this market to fucking crush people because their brains no longer mattered. This is what's been done just to capital markets. I'm not even talking about society, because society was gutted a long time ago. If you live in small town America, you live in a place where, the most happening thing is fucking fentanyl right now. Think about that. This is in the biggest and bestest country that's supposedly has ever existed. And obviously that's a lie, right? Hold on, guys. All right. They finally have passed. So yeah, we're looking at a month per bar, basically a trading month, and this is why when you go from one to the next, it's essentially just switching months, even though it's only 21 days. Um, but anyway, so during this period of time, right? Because we're talking about 1990s. This isn't even being shown on this chart. We can't even go back that far. Hold on, MDX. I got this one here. This one probably does. Nope. Oh, yep, it does. All right. So good. There we go. Right. So this is 89, and it probably goes even further. Yeah, 85. But this is an environment where volatility was higher, even, and markets still ripped. Right. And of course, my chart's on log. If it wasn't, it would look like that. um. So what happened in 2000 was really just a pullback, right? And then we got a small move into 2007 that really just ended up being the pullback, which is really, and I think Kareem talked about this shit, the wick off pattern. Um, I happened to learn it just by looking at charts. I didn't know that had a name, but this is the classic buying pattern, So, like if you would have went down to a 1 minute chart or something around this area, around here, you would find the same pattern. And interestingly enough, if you flip these charts, right, that pattern is exactly what creates these tops here. Anytime there's a pullback, that pattern is present. Anytime there's a retrace, that pattern is present. It's just a matter of understanding what is actually happening when it's happening. And this is why we use multi-time frame analysis. There's no other way to know. Anyway, point being, you know, during this time, volatility was high, which essentially means that market participants were able to price risk. Moving forward, that volatility value was depressed. And all that meant is that market participants were no longer pricing risk because we're talking about almost a point in reduction of risk pricing. That doesn't make any sense. What's changed? Well, everything's worse. Explain that. So we're talking about a period in time where there's been nothing but all types of economic degradation, right? Like, I don't got to explain that. You guys can look outside and see how there's a lot less businesses in existence in America, a lot less competition, a lot less employment, right? I don't have to go to the St. Louis Fed and look up the damn labor force participation rate chart, like, all those basics. I shouldn't have to, you know, point out all that obviousness. But hold on, man. Now the thing to understand is this needs to be adjusted for the population, right? And you got to ensure that actual people that are in the workforce are being counted and not illegals, for example, people that really shouldn't be counted that probably are being counted, um, and that they're not discounting the people that they should be counting, like people that are employable but yet are not, because they do that too. That's what the unemployment rate is, by the way. It's a measure of the people that are employable and are employed divided by all the people that are looking for work and are employable. Not everybody that's employable. So it's a false measure of the employment metrics in the United States. Um, so look, the point I'm getting at is that it might look like we're at an all-time high, right? But the American population is at an all-time high, motherfucker. It should be at an all-time high. So what you actually want to look at is the rate of change. And this is why I always say, let's see here. You can do either or, but I kind of like that one. And let's go with semi-annual. Doesn't need to be all that dramatic. But what I just want to show is that it's flat. Always. There is no growth. Everything is a lie. No matter what it is, it's a lie. Because that's really the punchline for it all, isn't it? That really is the punchline for it all at the end of the day. So, anyways, what I was trying to get at is that for the longest period of time, people understood the economic situation was dire and deteriorating, right? We're talking about civilian for participation rate that was negative for years. Negative. Not even positive, but negative. So, people were making their bets. And when this was happening, it didn't make sense. But, while I didn't make money from the obviousness of this trade, as I look at it now, I know that I understand fully why that happened at that point in time versus now. I know what I didn't know at that time. And you never know what you don't know moving forward. But that's why you have to look to others that do know or have an idea of what they didn't know and they speak about their mistakes and stuff like that. Because that is the win. That's the win because at some point, an opportunity is going to present itself where you can buy down here and never ever have to sell that thing. Right? And that kind of brings us to the crypto talk and what's happened over there for a while, or what Rich has been doing over there. And all he really did was give people the narrative that they've been asking for. You dumbasses wanted scarcity. There you go. Made everything super fucking scarce. Right? And this is assuming it's even him doing it. Who knows? Who's actually doing what? But what we do know is that t-shirt payout done been sliced and diced and all that good stuff. However, that t-shirt per rate is over 40,000 on Pulse Chain. I don't know what it is on ETH. I think it's probably still right hovering right below it. But at any rate, Hex is still cheap. T-shirts still pay. Question is, how much can you afford? Because they were very cheap a long time ago, and now they're not so cheap. But people only want these things after they go up. Kind of like right now. Right now, of course, I don't have a whole historical data print of what's happening in one, but you kind of get the gist, right? Because even going back past 2022, there's just no data. But what you do see is that we are really near all-time highs for volume. And all I understand about markets is that typically when there's high volume at a very critical area, it's probably a turning point of some sort. But for all we know, because when I look at the rest of the market, like Baba, for example, we were talking about this. I talked about this stock to you guys years ago. probably even sooner. But I'm pretty sure I talked about it again. But it finally is taking off. Um, I just didn't realize I wasn't timing it right when I was talking about it, but it's finally taking off. So this is gonna be one to ride out with for a while because it's got his hands in a lot of good pots, and there's just a lot of stocks that are in that same boat. Um, so who's to say that this is really the end of the run, right? What it could be, and that's the thing to really take away from this stream is that if something does happen and it does break 16,900 or and it does get near 10,500, the question is it a setup like this for another move like that, for another run up like that? And that took years to pan out. That took like 10 years to pan out. But if you was diligent, man, you could have set your family up forever. Because look at that. From 1,000 to 22,000. Come on. I had no idea that was going on at that time. And I was in it's just the craziest things, the rooms I was in at the time, at this time, at this time, at this time. And so many people understood what was happening. And I was too young to really wrap my mind around it. Fucking crazy looking back at it now because they understood. They had this vantage point of the market back then because these were older folks. I was young. I was like 20 something. Yeah, they cleaned up. So, anyways, uh, nope. Y'all can figure out the year for yourselves now, right? It's only like one or two freaking hacks a day. Ah! Oh man, that was funny. That was funny. Oh, look at that. They bought it up. Let's see. All right. So there you go. You could have bought at sub 3/10 of a cent, or is that right? Yeah, 3/10 of a cent. And then sold at 3/8 of a cent, or 3.8 tenths of a cent. Oh man, I think there's people that think like that. It's just wild. It is wild. All right, let's see. What's going on here? That's what's going on. Yeah, basically, theory is uh this move, the first leg for this move should be to at least here, assuming this is the bottom. My bet is that this is the bottom because we keep making higher lows. And eventually we're going to break out of this, retrace that, and then just boom, and then that's when everybody's going to want to come back on their knees. But at that point, we'll get a nice top form made, right? Pull back just to crush all those losers that came in mad late and thought that it was just going to keep going. And then it'll keep going. Kind of something like that. Kind of something like that. Maybe even something like that. Right? I mean, this is just what happens when markets run up. They run up, but there's also a pullback because nothing runs in a straight line. So, yeah. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. But the one thing I advise is for you to know what the hell you got going on, because a lot of people really don't have a clue. They just pretend to. Um, I mean, gold is a great example of this. Um, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Mm, yeah. This thing here is serious. Looking like we might be nearing the top. I don't know. What's it? 17th? Nah, we gotta wait till the end of the month. Never mind that. Never mind that. But let's see what nat gas is looking like. Ooh, nat gas is looking spicy. That thing looking like it's about to make a move. This is on a monthly. All these is 1 month candles. Cause look at how it looked in January. It looked like it was gonna keep rolling over, and it just didn't. It kept going. So that's something to note. Bonds still hanging on for dear life, and it looks like it's making that move right here to hold on for that first leg of that buying stance. Yep. Because the idea is that you buy above that first top if the market's gonna hold. Let's see, what's this? 110.16, and what's the low? 110.19. There you have it. I mean, it doesn't get any more pinpoint than that. I mean, that's just how markets work. That's how I ended up discovering it. Over time, I realized that markets would pick these specific points, but I wouldn't understand how until one day I found these types of charts that helped me see the price activity. And that's when I realized I need to stop looking at this shit. This shit is cool only but for so much. You got to really find ways to see what's there. And as you guys can see, the closer we zoom in, right, you can see that this was that clear area where the market came, ripped, pulled back, ripped, tried to rip again, and had to ultimately come back to clear out this level so they can actually now take off. That's how that works. This is an auction process. And that's really important to understand. And as you guys can see here, there's a gap. Right. So that's why it went only down to that level. It tried to fill that gap in. It really didn't even fill that gap in. Um, but it tried to. Let me see this here. 19. Nope. It's interesting. Should have went down to 14 and it didn't. So a lot of people got left hanging there. That's a very bullish sign because that means that if it didn't get filled there and it didn't get filled here, right? That's already 6 months time, 3 months time. Oh no, that was a year ago, 2 years ago, almost a year and a half ago. So yeah, if they didn't get filled, that gap should have filled, right? By theory, that gap should have filled, but it never did. So a lot of people might be left chasing this market. That's basically what that means. And yeah, some orders will be out there for that long because we're talking about $1 trillion market. There are people with money so long you can't imagine. So you just got to think about that. S&P 500, looking like the Nasdaq. But I'm sure everybody's heard Warren Buffett has dumped all his SPY calls, but he still owns a shit ton of stock. So he might just expect them moving a pullback. And I'm sure you guys remember when we were talking about crude oil when it was down here in the 60s and it ultimately ran up to the 80s. And, that's just kind of the name of that game. You got to look at these patterns and play them out accordingly because these markets move like that. They really, really do. And, you got another nice little downtrend forming right here. And you got price of crude hitting this support area. And you guys can see it already cleared out this area. So it's not going to come back there. If anything, it might come back here, but this is really just it. So this is probably going to continue off of here. So you just really want to look for that rip off this level right here. Yeah, that thing is already setting up for that move. Um, so yeah, I mean, got divergences setting in. All of that's looking nice and juicy. So yep, volatility is waning. You got that volatility trend exhaustion hitting in, and then you got the positive divergences setting in. Also, you got the selling slowing down. Buying really hasn't. It's just been kind of meh, but it'll pick up when it's time for it to pick up, like it did here, like it did here, like it did there. You just gotta watch out for the signals. Mark is always giving them. Um, let's see here. Let's go to the futures markets as a whole. Cotton's still going sideways. This motherfucker has never gone anywhere after, a few years ago when it ran up to 95 or 100 or whatever it was. It's just been straight down ever since. I was kind of waiting for it to stop here. It did not. It kept going. Let's see. This is 5 days. Hmm. This could be it, but it could also not be it. Because when you look at this, it could really still travel down to 54 cents, 55 cents. So just got to be aware of that. But if it does, hot dog, because that's definitely going to be it unless something catastrophic happens like it did for crude, which we welcome because no commodity can be priced negative. Thank you, markets, for being very stupid and dumb. We pray you do that again. But if you look at this here, it kind of looks like the market has bottomed out right here. Right, this is 89 minutes, February 3rd through the 10th, 7th. So watch for shallow pullbacks to be bought if you are trading this bad boy. Because odds are that it's not going to be the ceiling for this one right here. Might pose in term of resistance, but you want to buy those dips because I don't think that thing is going to keep going down. And plus, if you look at the rate of change here, yeah, gold, man, this thing has just been on a tear, and you got to think at some point it's going to pull back because it has a retest breakout point. And don't you worry, I'll be there to catch it. Copper, looking like it's time for a pullback here as well. But has a very nice bullish stance as well. We talked about this one too. And when you look out the big picture with this one, 21 days per candle, I mean, it's obvious where this thing is going, right? Should be obvious. Heating oil. Well, taking fundamentals into account, which is pretty significant for energy. Um, things like crude and reality and heating oil and natural gas. If we're gonna stick to what the fundamentals say, prices should be going down because we're gonna be producing tons of it. So for now, you take these technical views as technical views, but understand that in the long term, that's the expectation from the market. In fact, let's see what these futures curves looks like. Look at that. Futures curve even shows it. I hadn't thought about looking to check, but let's see. Yep. Interesting. So yeah. So what this means is that eventually these markets are definitely going to collapse. There's nothing anybody's going to be able to do about it, not even the Saudis. So that's actually great for prices. So here's my conundrum with this Trump shit. We can see all these things that are good for us, like energy prices going down, um, gold prices going up. Um, Hell, we might even see taxes get scrapped. You know what I'm saying? If you got a pending tax bill, stand fast. You know what I'm saying? You might not have to pay that shit. Like, this is the kind of crazy thing that's going on right now. But you got to ask yourself, what comes next? Because you best believe that you're just not going to get a free pass for the rest of your life. Right. And, what happens after these 4 years are up? Because Trump can only run for four. So what's going to actually happen that's going to cement all this positive, quote unquote, positive stuff? I don't know. I don't know that it exists. I don't see it at all. So you tell me if you know, because I don't. I mean, let's look at gold again, just to be clear. This almost looks like a shooting star, but it's not. This is a pretty strong candle. And if you look at this on a long term basis, we're talking about 13 periods. Let's go out to the 21. I mean, if we get another green candle, the end of this month, it closes up above this, January 2021, man, that's a strong looking market. And this is very simple, technical analysis. There's nothing fancy about this. This is just basic ass rate of change. Nothing fancy. And for me, it works because I understand what it means very plainly. It's just if this month closes and it's higher than this, off to the races. If the next month closes and it's higher than this, off to the if anything happens before the end of summer and higher than this point, 2026 is not. You're not even gonna. You're gonna wish you bought gold at 3,000. Forget about it. Because you guys gotta remember, gold, silver, all that stuff mispriced. It's priced incorrectly because it's manipulated. This has been proven in court. This is not speculation. Like JP Morgan and all these banks, they on the hook for that. Like, it's documented. It's just that everybody pretends they don't. They pretend they don't that it's not happening. I guess I don't know, but that's what's actually going on. So when you look at all these markets, you got to understand that's why they're so undervalued or priced how they are. I'm talking. Look at palladium, platinum, 1,000 per ounce. What? Gold, 3,000 per ounce. What? Come on. Something's wrong with that. All right, let's move on. Hold on before we move on. Platinum and palladium on a 1 day basis, and yeah, just in range for now. I mean, when we're looking at this chart here, this is going back for a whole year. It's really just been in that 1,000 to 900 range. So if it sticks to that range, just trade it. Not much else for you to do. Short it at 1,000, buy it at 900. That's the trade for now. That's platinum. Palladium is a little different, but basically range bound as well for now. Interesting. Yeah, very range bound for now. This is the type of market that's going nowhere. So silver, yeah, look like it's just hanging in there. Gold also. All right, now let's move it along to the dollar. Dollar looking pretty weak. That's pretty good for bonds as of right now. Definitely good for equities, as you'll see shortly. There you go. Mid caps looking like they're just waiting for a breakout. Bam. Once it goes off that, pew, it's just gonna be gone. And just because Buffett sold his S&P 500 calls don't mean anything. His ass has been wrong plenty of times, just like all of us. He's just better at money management because he got lots more of it. So if the market keeps going up like it looks like it's gonna, then pew, and he ain't gonna look so smart. So I don't know. Here's the Hang Seng market. We talked about this one a long time ago. When it was all the way down here, maybe even here. But look at where it's at now. 3,000 points later. And that's just how we roll around here. Very basic stuff. This is not rocket science. It's just understanding markets and sentiment. It's very obvious nobody liked Chinese stocks at the time and all that. And this is just an 8-day per bar chart. So we got a long way to go. You want to own anything related to China right now. We're talking about just from a geographical asset allocation perspective. I mean, that was clear to me, a year ago. It's already 2025, so that trade is still going to be ongoing for at least another year until maybe it switches to India or something. But for right now, it's China. So, and I don't think it's ever going to be Europe. So you can scrap that shit. I mean, you know what? Let me stop because I think most recently Europe, well, really just this month and a half, Europe has actually been getting bought up because it's that obvious it's undervalued. So, Taiwan, yeah, just looking like the Nasdaq pretty much. Let's see. Yep, looks like it's just coiling ready to pop. Bonds just hanging around, waiting. Yep, bonds. See, bonds is ready to go. So now would be a good time to get you some options if you're interested, because the market is ready. It's ready to take off. Tomorrow might be the day. And we've already talked the VIX to death. We can now look at some agricultural commodities that have been flaming into the ground apparently lately. Nope, not really. It's just 13,000 to 10,000. That's not really that big of a retracement. That's just 30%. For a market that's ran up, thousands and hundreds of percent, 30% drop ain't anything. So we're going to keep moving. Man, media always gets it wrong. It's amazing. It's nice to see beef prices are down, but about the same deal here. Got more work to do. Hogs, same deal. Coffee. I'm not a drinker, but I heard you guys have been in pain. And look at what we have here. Quite something. I mean, and we talked about coffee a long time ago, and it was obvious that this is where it was going. So, this is the good thing about futures. This is why you got to fuck with it. If you can learn how to take a long term view to this market, you can make tons of fucking money. What is this? Live cattle. It's coming back too. OJ getting smoked. This is the one market that has definitely been collapsing, and this is 8 days per candle. So this is just in the past month and a half. It's dropped from 5.5 to 330. So finally, you'll be able to buy OJ again. Crazy. Sugar's still on a tear. Now this is the bad sugar, the stuff you don't want to consume. So it's cool. Corn, gone like the wind. We talked about this one a while ago, and it's true to form. Almost at $5 a bushel. This is soybean oil. Been kind of ripping all year. And maybe not ripping, but positive tone. Soybean meal looks like it's basing. But these commodities always look like they're freaking basing and then they just dump some more. So you just gotta be careful with these things. I don't really fuck with them for that reason. And soybeans, same deal. Wheat, wow. We don't do that and then it'll collapse. And so you just gotta again just trade the chart that's in front of you. But that's pretty much it, guys. When you look at these individual stocks, I mean, I got a whole list here. Airbnb, I was on this one. And as you guys see, it's taking off. This one is on a tear because this one, I mean, the story's just good with this one, and that's kind of what drives these things when they're early. So, American Electric Power Company is another one. There's a lot of companies in this racket that are gonna pick up a lot of contracts because of what's about to happen because of AI. AMC is looking kind of tasty. Uh, this one's just on a tear. And it's just, when you look at the whole broader market, I mean, it's hard to imagine a crash when everything is just running and gunning or preparing to, right? Because you get a lot of rotations. Like Baidu is about to do what Baba just did. Alibaba, like these Chinese stocks, like they take their turns, man. I don't even know what this is. Bumble, probably some social media nonsense. But if this thing doesn't get smoked, looks like it could do something. So you just gotta keep an eye on these things, man. CRDO, another thing that's been ripping. Cisco, need I say more? I don't know what agricultural commodities they have in this ETF, but it's just straight up from $20 in 2024. Straight up $8. ESTA. It just looks good like on a buy on a big chart. So yeah. Should probably run back to 60 actually. This thing, yeah, it's probably now setting up for a nice buy. This is a pretty famous company, Corning Incorporated. They make a lot of glassware and stuff like that. I think these are the people that make Pyrex too, actually. Can't remember who makes that, but this is what type of stuff these guys do. I mean, look at that stock though. A lot of these stocks, I saw them a year ago when they were where they were trading. 28, 30, whatever. And I just saw them run up, didn't even care, knowing that's what was happening. So that's why I'm now like, you know what? I just need to trade everything and stop fucking around. So I look at it all. This thing, I think I'm pretty sure it's another Chinese stock. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's another one that looks like it's setting up for another move. One of those big moves up. Google got smoked because of their earnings. So they're going to have to base out right here for a little while to recover, assuming they don't get sold out some more. Good Tire looking like it's going to find a nice little low down here. Because it just has that look. You got a divergence, and then you got the time pass, and then come clear out the support levels right here to mark a higher low. So long term big picture is looking all right now for this ticker, but it really hasn't gone anywhere. When you look at the big picture, high point was 76, and low point is $3, and it's only $10 right now. So the story of this one is that not every stock is worth buying and holding. Doesn't mean you can't trade them though. This is another one that's been on a tear for a while, and I've just been watching it happen in my face. I mean, look at this thing used to be $5. 10x later. I mean, if you were holding options on that thing, them options have probably done 20,000x by now. I mean, it's fucking crazy. But these are the kinds of opportunities people don't explore, don't have the idea that they exist. Um, this is a stock that looks like it's about to take off. Also, relatively new. This one is crazy looking. So 11x on that. And there's just a lot of shit like that going on out here. I mean, look at this Universal Technical Institute. If you live in America, you've seen their infomercials. Look at their stock chart. So, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that's going on out here. I think Warner Brothers and Paramount, like, I think these are bottoming out right now, too, because obviously these. And if they now toe the Trump line, you better believe they're going to reverse. So, I mean, I think Warner Brothers is already in motion, and I think Paramount is now going to set itself up to get in that position. But it's pretty obvious how these things play out. So that's pretty much all I got, guys. There's a lot of opportunity out here. Don't be shy. Maybe I'll drop a Weibo link in my shit in the future, but you know, this one I like a lot because they're going to benefit from whatever Trump does because they're a domestic corporation. And a Japanese entity was already interested in this domestic steel corporation. So odds are a lot of these American companies are poised for a significant boom in their stock value because they've been undervalued for a long time. Matter of fact, I know Cleveland Cliffs, there you go. That's another one that's in this camp. And as you can see, it's only $11, $12. So, and all this is policy driven stuff. This is why these stocks have all these crazy looking charts because over time, 1 minute they're favored, right? This is 2008 and then 2011. And as you guys can see, here's that pattern I was talking about earlier. Boom, boom, and then collapse. All the way to $1. And this is all Obama. Obama did that. This is all Obama. Destroying jobs in this motherfucker. So, anyways, understand what's going on. Understand what's going to happen with these stupid policy making fag bags. And, you can make some moves too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's a nice banger. Understand that everything is a show, everything is a scam. Don't get driven by it, don't get caught up in it. Understand that you're just here to play this game, play it to the best of your abilities, and do nothing more than that. You really can't do more than that. Don't get caught up in nonsense, and make it good. Make it good, kids. Peace.